Hello, this is Alan Wheeler. Until I figure out how to edit, I thought I would hold this up in case someone thinks their computer's broken. I think there's a lag every time I start a video. So leave me a comment if you know how I can fix that easily. I'm here tonight to make a video response to Anna Astral Lady from Amsterdam. I think her YouTube channel is Anna Astral Lady. And I saw in her, she had a link to her Instagram, and I saw one of her pictures said, if you like someone, tell them. So I left her a comment in one video that said, I like you and your soothing voice. So unlike Anna, uh, in one of her bloopers, I'm not wearing pajama bottoms tonight, but I did take a walk around the house. I wasn't going to do 9 laps as I do customarily, but it was so dark I got lost in my own yard. So I just did one, and here I am. I've been posting with a friend at the Cartomancy forum, or was it in my private journal? There, not it's public, but it's a just my own journal I keep there. Maybe it was in that, and I did a card reading with Tarot of the Vampyres about making this video tonight, and thought maybe I should be invoking Hecate. I've already invoked the Empress of Tarot of the Vampyres, which I'll speak more about as I have time. But I've got the candles lit here. Incense is burning. I've got my bamboo plant in place, various crystals. I have some Kumbaba jasper that I keep on my altar here, and I keep duplicate stones and crystals at work. And this is a connection to me the energy of the Empress, who is contains Gaia, or connection to Gaia, and Venus, if you read the guidebook to Tarot of Vampyres. So let me invoke Hecate as I felt led to, and we'll get right to it. So here's a picture for you as I begin. Hail Hecate, hail Hecate, hail Hecate, goddess of earth, goddess of sea, goddess of sky. Hail Hecate, hail Hecate, hail Hecate, who guides by torchlight in the night, who stands as sentinel at the crossroads, who holds the key and opens the door. Hail Hecate, hail Hecate, hail Hecate, queen of the witches, mother of the children, maiden of the moon. I worship you, I pray to you, I offer myself to you. I worship you, I honor you, I offer myself to you. I worship you, I love you, I offer myself to you. Okay. With that in place, Fleetwood Mac Rumors playing in the background. We'll begin. So the question that Anna, Astral Lady from Amsterdam, asked was, what is your favorite number one, top one deck? And so, and why? And why is it that? So I'm going to introduce and do an interview with my deck, the Tarot of Vampyres. And there's the Empress of Tarot of Vampyres with the symbol of Venus and the greenery of Gaia all around her, holding that rose in her hands. And the green heart she's wearing is her symbol in this deck. I think if you do not find a deal on Amazon, the deck is still around $30. And that's, of course, not the reason. It's my favorite deck. First of all, it expands the meaning. So this was a great expansion step past Rider-Waite-Smith. Not past, but because it includes Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, as well as Thoth, Golden Dawn, Hermeticism, and some other things. Let me remove these glasses that are reflecting here. But it does expand on those meanings. So it was great after, I guess, going to an intermediate stage of tarot study for me. Yet it's personable, or it it's also still accessible to me, I guess, I could say. So a few things. The court cards are lords, queens, princes, and daughters, and their deck order, I think, reflects Thoth. So it was different from Rider-Waite-Smith right out of the box as I opened it. And wands are scepters, cups are grails, swords are knives, and coins or pentacles are skulls. So the deck's a little different in that way as well. The as introduced elsewhere recently and common knowledge, the guidebook is great, almost a tarot Bible for some people, and it's called Phantasmagoria, with a picture of that 10 of knives right on the cover. The book includes all the meanings of the cards, which, again, this was expansive for me. And the introduction, the three most important things, the reasons why it's a favorite with me, is the introduction introduces the conceit of vampires in a way that is meaningful for me. Ian Daniels talks about spiritual hunger and takes the metaphor of blood and the vampires, the life is in the blood, as Dracula. I'm going to pause here. My dog is barking. One moment. I am back with you. Should have had my sign ready. False alarm. What a good dog. Although he doesn't like bicyclers going by or cars stopping strangely outside. Okay, so the conceit of vampires. Also the symbolism of the rose, which is the back design. I'll get the deck out next. Is important. The number of roses on many cards, the color of the roses on many cards is significant. And the introduction gives some background to the blood rose and what it means in Rosicrucianism and other literary meanings and cultural meanings of that rose. A friend of mine and I who discussed this, my friend came up with the idea. It is mentioned briefly, alluded to in the guidebook, but he advanced the concept quite a bit that the thorns, um, and he dug out from the book Dracula that the roses are actually one of the, like garlic, I think, and uh, crosses, which are also figure prominently in the deck, are a barrier to vampires. So the thorn, I guess the book mentions the thorn aspect of the roses, but my friend took it further um, from that passage from Dracula and found that it integrated well with reading the cards. But regardless, the introduction is so helpful in that way. Also, the introduction goes into the shadow, and each card has a shadow um, description. And although you can use reversals with the deck, Ian Daniels recommends um, more letting the shadow speak for itself with intuition, I guess, and not using reversals. But he does go into the background of the shadow. And I think it was Natalia Ouroboros who said in her description of this deck that it's one place where the author really understands the shadow or reverse meanings of the cards. So that's another reason for it being a favorite. Now, other things the introduction includes are numerology, alchemy, astrology, and some Kabbalah. And it's very accessible. It's not thick, but it really expands those areas for me um, without getting lost in some labyrinth of detail work. Uh, so it's very good that way. So that's the first reason in my video response to Anna. The deck really expands the meanings for me without departing entirely. So it's a synthesis, and that's dear to my heart as someone who walks a blended path. Number two is the relationship with this deck. Um, I'll try to remember to link the video by racing artist Wilkinson, codename Almoon513, and it's a much better introduction to the deck than I'm giving, which is just my personal response. But she said in that video, you must build a relationship with this deck. And elsewhere, in a recent video, I've described how when it came out of the package, I was instantly almost channeling with the Empress of the deck. I was just so drawn in and went through stages of building a relationship and had startling synchronicities, again, too long to go into on this video, but described in another one. And so I find that she's so right, and the deck really, although I ordered it without feeling that deep of a connection, instantly, once it arrived, that it was deeper and deeper and more connected through three fairly quick stages. Now, Racine also said that this deck enjoys relative faithfulness. She said you can cheat on it a little bit, but it enjoys faithfulness. Now, I don't know all she means by that, but I do try to spend time with the cards to read, not leave the guidebook behind, but return to that. I would say the uh, Empress has actually aided me, not in some exclusive um, kind of human marriage, but has introduced me to other deities such as Odin, Isis. Um, we just evoked Hecate, and so she's helped me with spiritual development, spiritual guidance, and so the deck has a real living life relationship with me. And the archetype is personified for me personally. Um, I had a honeymoon period. I may still be in that a bit with the deck, and have had path working conversations with the deck. One of the ways I really got bonded and got to know um, Terror of the Vampyres was through journaling, and I kept uh, the study thread with a friend on the cartomancy forum. We went through every card in the deck and delved into it using intuition and guidebook and all kinds of things. And I also have kept a path working. I guess I'm using the word right. I don't know. But going into the card beyond the borders of the card and conversing with the Empress. And I've kept a physical journal, and I have a digital version on my website that I keep as well. But in the physical version, I have the cards pasted in, and then the description about 2 half pages for each one or thereabouts, and they're written as though spoken directly to me by the Empress. Here's an example. My love, this card reminds you of the process of creation, represented here by the spinning wheel. And so it goes on. So this has been a way I've bonded with the deck. I've been stuck. I have a bit of writer's block, so I plan to get back. I want to renew that and get back um, to working on this journal. So again, the relationship is ongoing, and I keep the deck in my altar space here and use it often in daily draws and readings. So let me introduce a few of the cards, and then we'll have an interview with the deck, and I'll pull a few cards and see what the deck would like to express about herself. But let me just introduce a few cards. I've shown you the back and the blood rose there, and there is a barrier of thorns, aren't there? As well as the beautiful blooming of the petals. So let me do one of each suit so that you can see the scepters, grails, skulls, and knives, which are wands, cups, coins, and swords, respectively. And this one is the five of scepters. And you can see how it's similar to the ideas of competition and challenge seen in other decks. And the panther is the animal of this suit. And so there's Ian Daniels provides multiple possibilities. He gives an umbrella of meanings to use, as well as the shadow of each card. Here's another card. This is the example of the grails. This is the 7 of grails. And here is the snake-headed lady, the siren, calling, and that grail is full of water, representing that overflowing imagination. And it's still not enough. She's adding the venom of the snake for an even more intoxicating brew, and maybe that leads to the underworld in the background. So that's the 7 of grails, with the possibilities of imagination and the dangers also dramatized there. Okay, another one. I just read about this one. My journal opened to this card a second ago. The 3 of skulls, and here the beautiful figure is spinning threads, and it looks like it's forming a web and forming, showing the interconnectedness, something like Indra's net. The guidebook talks about how each part reflects all the other parts, and to tap one part of that web sends ripples and reverberations because everything is connected. But like the typical 3 of coins, the 3 of skulls can represent a project or a physical work of art, or something in the realm of earth that's manifesting and coming into being. And there's the purple roses there on that card. So it would be great if that card did reflect video creation, wouldn't it, with that interconnectedness of the YouTube community. And here is the 10 of knives, and the succubus is expelling her last breath, showing the end of a cycle of maybe thought or communication. Is she going to pull it out and rise up, or is she going to is all ended and with a new beginning going on? We'll have to read that in the context of a reading to find out. So there are some examples of the cards. Here's an example of one of the aces, and how beautiful that is, with the green roses on the Ace of Grails there. And it reminds me, I had a professional reading done by Racine, my first professional reading ever, and oh my gosh, 3 aces came up from this very deck, boom, 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 in a row, and she had just pulled the other ace. The Ace of Skulls had come up just previously, and then these 3 came up in a row, and it was very exciting beginning to professional readings. But that's an example of an ace. And here's one major arcana, the Tower. It's featured on the side of the box, and they're racing out. It looks like the Lord of Knives of this deck, racing out of that tower, and there's another one in the distance getting struck by lightning. So that's an example of one of the major arcana cards. So let me give these a shuffle, and we've got to end here fairly quickly to keep this about 30 minutes. But this is our interview with the vampire, the tarot of the vampires. And I'll pull 3 cards and just say, what would you like to express about yourself? And whether I've shuffled these physically 7 times. My intention is 7 here. And I'll give you a ripple shuffle. So if intention is as powerful as we give it credit for, then you can use digital versions of the cards as well. In my camp, in my book, in my thinking. And there's a cut. And I'm going to pull 3 cards, each from a different part of the deck. There's 1. There's 2. I'm laying these out face down, just spreading through and taking out one that feels right. And that's my system. That's my way that I tend to do this. Okay, interview with the Tarot of Vampyres. What would you like to express about yourself? And the first card, oh my goodness, it's the 7 of Grails. Wow. So I would say I was pulled into the deck as by a siren, just drawn and called in. And the dreams and imaginations are compelling. And so I'll let that sit for a second as we look at the other cards. And the 2 of Scepters shows a warrior standing. And there's looks like he's almost on something like the Great Wall of China with the towers along the ramparts, and he's standing strong. I often see the 2 of Wands as calling, like Hecate holding those 2 torches. This image is a little different, but it could be a call to battle, and the call to that will to power, that rising up, that feeling of calling and crossroads almost. Again, appropriate to me for my relationship with the deck. Oh my goodness, and the World card. This one, now in my online journal, you can, if you went to look, you'd see it's dated this morning. This card and the 3 of the 3 of Skulls, which my journal opened to and which we looked at here, I drew randomly and wrote about in the journal, and also the World card. And I did that in preparation for tonight, and here they appear. Wonderful synchronicity. But look at that Kundalini energy enwrapping the anima mundi of the woman, as all the elements come together. And there's the panther and the wolf and the I believe it's the crow and the serpent. All the elements coming together, the sun and moon. And so that's a wonderful, wonderful message, the archetypal power of this deck. So what would she like to express about herself? Maybe many people are called by her in the emotions, in the imagination, in the spirit, in that Grail energy. Maybe there's a calling that she gives us. She certainly assisted me in connecting with deity and on my spiritual path. And she's certainly been a mountaintop experience of connection and communion, as displayed in the World card. So that's just amazing. that they showed up this morning and tonight. I will need to sit with those a little more. It's been 30 minutes, but thank you for watching, and I hope you do feel connection with deity, connection with community, both in the real world and the digital world and the spiritual world. And please take care.